What if I told you that a 23-year-old guard just pulled off one of the most dramatic transformations in modern NBA history? Not just physically, not just statistically, but mentally in a way that could completely shift the balance of power in the Western Conference. Anthony Edwards didn't just have a good season, he underwent a metamorphosis that has veterans, analysts, and even his own coaches questioning everything they thought they knew about this young superstar. Most fans saw the numbers: career highs across the board, Olympic gold, back-to-back conference finals appearances. But what they didn't see was the moment everything clicked. The moment Edwards stopped playing basketball like a superhuman athlete and started playing it like a chess grandmaster. And that transformation didn't happen in some gym during the off-season. It happened on the biggest stage in basketball, under pressure that would have crushed most players his age. Remember the 2024 Western Conference Finals? Edwards and the Timberwolves were supposed to be ready. They'd made it to the conference finals the year before. They had experience. They had momentum. But what happened against OKC wasn't just a loss, it was a systematic dismantling that exposed every weakness in Edwards' game. The Thunder didn't just beat Minnesota. They embarrassed them in 5 games, and Edwards was at the center of it all. Here's what most people missed: those weren't just basketball losses. They were psychological warfare. Every double team that came his way revealed the same problem. Edwards was still playing checkers while elite teams like OKC were playing chess. The kid who could dunk on anyone, who could score from anywhere, suddenly looked lost when teams started scheming against him. His decision-making crumbled under pressure, his confidence wavered, and for the first time in his career, Anthony Edwards looked ordinary. But that humiliation did something unexpected. Instead of breaking him, it ignited something deeper. Veterans who watched those games said they'd never seen a young player take losses that personally, that seriously. While his teammates were already thinking about vacation, Edwards was studying film, breaking down every possession, every missed opportunity. He wasn't just angry, he was determined to make sure it never happened again. Paris 2024 was supposed to be a celebration for Team USA. Another easy gold medal, another dominant performance. But what it became for Anthony Edwards was something far more valuable: a masterclass in elite basketball IQ. Suddenly, he wasn't the best player on the court. He wasn't even close. Playing alongside LeBron James, Stephen Curry, and Kevin Durant, Edwards got a front-row seat to how legends think the game. The statistics tell one story: 12.8 points per game on incredible efficiency, helping secure the gold medal. But the real story was happening in practice, in team meetings, in those quiet moments between games when Edwards was soaking up knowledge from players who'd been dominating the league since he was in elementary school. Team USA coaches later revealed that Edwards asked more questions than any other player on the roster. Not about plays or systems, but about mindset, about reading defenses, about the mental side of basketball that separates good players from great ones. Something clicked during those weeks in Paris. Edwards started seeing basketball differently. The game slowed down. The chessboard became clear. And when he returned to Minnesota for the 2024-25 season, teammates immediately noticed something had changed. This wasn't the same player who'd struggled against Oklahoma City's schemes just months earlier. The numbers from Edwards' 2024-25 season don't just represent improvement, they represent evolution. 27.6 points per game wasn't just a career high. It was a statement. But here's the crazy part: the scoring increase wasn't about taking more shots. It was about taking better shots, smarter shots, shots that came from reading the game 3 moves ahead instead of relying purely on athletic ability. The most shocking transformation? His three-point shooting jumped to 39.5% while attempting more shots than ever before. Edwards led the entire league with 320 made three-pointers, but it wasn't volume shooting that got him there. It was precision, timing, and basketball intelligence that took years to develop but seemed to appear overnight. Coaches around the league started game planning for Edwards differently, not because he got faster or stronger, but because he got smarter. His free throw percentage jumped to 83.7%, another career high that might seem like a minor detail, but actually reveals something crucial about his mental state. Free throws are pure concentration, pure mental toughness. When a player's free throw percentage jumps that dramatically, it usually means they've found a new level of focus, a new way of approaching pressure situations. Edwards wasn't just shooting better, he was thinking better, The transformation that has NBA veterans buzzing isn't about Edwards' physical gifts, everyone knew he had those. It's about how he started using his mind. Remember those double teams that used to fluster him? Now he welcomes them. He sees them coming before they arrive, manipulates defenses into sending help, and finds open teammates before the double team even materializes. Former NBA player and analyst Iman Shumpert broke it down perfectly during a recent broadcast. Edwards stopped playing checkers and started playing chess. Instead of trying to score on every possession, he started setting up teammates, drawing fouls at strategic moments, and picking his spots with surgical precision. The kid who used to rely on pure athleticism was now getting defenders into foul trouble systematically, methodically, like a veteran who'd been doing it for a decade. This mental evolution showed up most clearly in clutch situations. Games that Minnesota used to lose in the final minutes became wins because Edwards learned how to control the pace, how to get the exact shot he wanted when he wanted it. He started studying film like Kevin Durant, his basketball idol, learning how to catch the ball in positions that made double teams impossible, how to attack quickly before help could arrive. Speaking of Durant, the relationship between Edwards and his childhood hero became the secret weapon in his transformation. Edwards has never hidden his admiration for KD, but during the 2024-25 season, that admiration turned into serious study. He started modeling his game after Durant's methodical approach, learning how to create separation not just with speed and strength, but with timing and positioning. The mid-range game that had been a weakness became a weapon. Edwards started catching the ball in areas where defenses couldn't help, making quick decisions that left defenders guessing. His efficiency from mid-range jumped dramatically because he wasn't just taking mid-range shots, he was taking Kevin Durant mid-range shots, the kind that are virtually impossible to defend when executed properly. But the Durant influence went deeper than just shot selection. Edwards started approaching the game with Durant's patience, his chess player mentality. Instead of trying to dominate every possession, he started picking his moments, letting the game come to him, then striking when defenses were vulnerable. Veterans around the league started comparing Edwards to a young Durant, not just in skill but in basketball IQ. At just 23 years old, Edwards underwent another dramatic change that caught everyone off guard. He became a leader, not just a scorer, not just a star player, but the kind of vocal, demanding leader that championship teams are built around. Teammates started talking about a different Anthony Edwards in the locker room, one who held everyone accountable, who studied film with younger players, who took responsibility for team losses in a way that surprised even veteran coaches. The transformation was most visible during Minnesota's playoff run. In crucial moments, Edwards wasn't just making plays, he was directing traffic, calling out defensive assignments, and making sure his teammates were in the right positions to succeed. He started talking to officials differently, controlling his emotions better, and making decisions that benefited the team even when they didn't help his individual statistics. Chris Finch, Minnesota's head coach, later revealed that Edwards' leadership development happened faster than anyone expected. One day he was a talented young player learning from veterans, and seemingly overnight he became the veteran that younger players looked to for guidance. That kind of leadership transformation usually takes years to develop, but Edwards compressed it into a single season. Here's why Edwards' transformation could actually make history. It's not just about one player getting better. It's about what happens when a generational talent figures out the mental side of basketball at age 23. We've seen players peak later in their careers after mental breakthroughs, but Edwards is having his chess player awakening in what should be the early stages of his prime. The Western Conference has been dominated by teams like Golden State, Denver, and Oklahoma City because they had players who understood the mental game at an elite level. But now Minnesota has a player who combines Edwards' rare physical gifts with the kind of basketball IQ that usually takes years to develop. That combination could shift the entire balance of power in the West. Edwards isn't just threatening to win a championship, he's threatening to start a dynasty. At 23, with this new mental approach to the game, he could be dominant for the next decade. Teams that built their strategies around containing the athletic version of Edwards now have to game plan for a completely different player, one who thinks 3 moves ahead and has the physical tools to execute whatever his mind can conceive. The scary part for the rest of the league? This transformation might just be the beginning. Edwards has shown that he can evolve his game dramatically in a single season. If he continues improving at this rate, both mentally and physically, we might be watching the early stages of one of the greatest careers in NBA history. The dramatic change isn't just about this season, it's about what comes next. And that's what could truly make history.